Good evening, yogis, yoginis. Hi, Jill. Hi, Linda. Great to see you all. Mary, Katie, Frank and Rhonda, or Frank, Maureen. Anyway, I'm encourage as many as possible to turn your cameras on. Keith, thank you so much for being co-host tonight. We're competing with the crazy man tonight. It's hard to look and hard to look away. But here we are, and we have this marvelous opportunity, counterbalance to the ill will driven politics, to return to love, return to the natural peace and ease that is the natural peace and ease that is available to us independent of struggles, even our own struggles with the world and the world itself. So we're lucky we have a sweet spot in us, the very consciousness through which we're perceiving is already quiet intrinsically, already open hearted, available, intelligent, responsive, but we have to choose that, remember that again and again. Even though it's natural to us, we've forgotten it. We've all jumped into time, obsessed with what's next. And this is our opportunity to settle back into the moment. So thanks for coming, supporting each other, supporting your own well-being and the people who have to live around you every day by practicing. Well, we might as well dedicate our practice to the people who have to live around us, and then expand that to include all beings everywhere. And if it's true, which I feel, that we don't exist independently apart from everything, that our practice impacts, even though we may not be so obvious, the results of that, but it impacts everyone, everything, all beings, all creatures. So let's use the fuel of that understanding of interbeing, of interdependence to motivate us to return to that sweet spot. So it helps if we because our senses are so used to being overly stimulated. We first, at least in the Theravada tradition, that's the tradition of Southeast Asia, in the tradition of the elders, Theravada, the tradition of the elders, they practice with eyes closed. There are traditions that practice with eyes open, but we'll practice with eyes closed because we close off that door of perception of the eye. It begins to open up that inner world so that we begin to enjoy this temporary withdrawal, enjoy this seclusion. And it supports us to put our mind in our body and our body in our mind and stay there. So let your eyes close softly. Maybe start by feeling the soft touch of your eyelids. Until you don't feel any eyelids, you just feel the little mini micro sensations of that contact. Move on to the hands. Feel the hands until there are no hands, there's just sensation. Feel the rear end on the cushion or chair until that concept of rear end vanishes and there's just the pressure, the temperature, heaviness, the elemental experience. Feel the air element, the vibration, pulsing, the fire, the temperature, the water, the sense of cohesion. Just feel your body until it's not a body, it's just an elemental experience of sensation. Notice the natural stilling of the body when it's mingled with this kind and interested and relaxed attention. Mm. Notice how you have stepped out of time, out of past and future, stepped out of even ideas of the present, just feeling life right where it connects, right where it is. And secluded in the body, we inevitably notice and feel the body's experience of its own breathing. And if we just ride the waves of the breath without even trying to calm, there's a calming. Without even trying to settle, there's a settling. A natural byproduct of feeling the waves of breath and having our mind in the same place as our body. So just this body, just this breath, just this moment. And we let the breathing body be our primary anchor, a home base, a place to return to, a place to refine our attention. Breath by breath. Moment by moment. But when other experiences become sounds, just hearing, moods, just feeling, just internal weather moving as it does. We include thoughts and images. If we're attentive, inevitably we don't cling to any of it. We simply notice. Noticing is the antidote for clinging and condemning. And just know breath, body, or the presently arising experience. Just this moment. If you're settled into the breath, just feel it intimately. Sink into it, stick to it, spread out all around it. Don't miss any part of the in-breath and out-breath. But also don't try to manipulate it, just receive it. Feel its texture. Wherever you feel it most clearly, nostrils, upper lip, chest or belly, or sense of the whole body expanding and contracting. Just this breath. When you realize you've been living in a thought bubble, in a dream, appreciate that moment of mindfulness, clear comprehension, coming back online, waking up to where you are, and without any judgment, just other than appreciation for moments of mindfulness. In support of continuity of attention, we connect with our body again, which is here, our breath, or whatever is calling our attention. Just this moment. Notice if you're trying to make something happen. This is greed in the mind. It'll cause tension. Notice if there's any resistance to what's happening. This is aversion in the mind. Causes tension. Notice if there's any evaluation of the practice. This is delusion in the mind, personalizing it. Just know these things and they will self-correct. Just know this is grasping, this is aversion, this is delusion. This is the breath, this is the body, this is sound. Just this moment. Just what's happening. In the last few minutes of the practice, let your body just bathe in the silence as though it's a field of love, of loving kindness. And let that love and silence touch your head, neck, shoulders, arms, torso, legs, down to the tips of the toes. So no part of the body left out of this field of loving kindness. And no part of yourself, thoughts, struggles, no part be left out. Everything just bathing in kindness. May all beings be received with kindness. May we receive all beings with kindness. As always, just deep appreciation for being able to sit with you and have this opportunity, this privilege of being able to, with your support and supporting each other, return to our natural state of peace that's available to us, even in the midst of struggles. It's really nice to know that we have a reset button that we can hit anytime. I'll say more about that later, but first I'd love to invite as many people as possible to have your camera on and say hello to each other and just feel the blessing of Sangha and hearing each other's voices if you're willing and interested, and say where you're calling in from. And I'm presently in Tucson, Arizona, mom's house, so feel free.
Big
Hi.
love from Nashville.
Oscar.
We're all together now. Hi from Sonoma.
Hello.
Hey,
Big love from Nashville.
hey, Jerry.
Love from Carmel Valley.
Hi, Nina. So good to have you with us.
Mary in Santa Barbara. Hi, Howie.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, everybody. Francisco.
Didn't hear the first part, but San Francisco, that's always a joy. Our home turf.
Hello
Hi
from
from
Los
San
Angeles.
Francisco.
Hello in Los Angeles. Hi, Laura in Maryland. I saw the hand wave.
Hi. Hey, Howie.
Linda and Eugene. Hi, Howie.
Hey, Linda. So good to have you with us, raising us to a higher level of consciousness.
Hi, it's Leith from Edmonton.
Hi, Leith. Welcome.
Thank you.
Always happy to have you with us.
Catherine in San Francisco.
Catherine. Hi, Eugene. I saw the hand wave.
Charlie in Rockport, Maine.
Hey, Charlie. Got the East Coast covered tonight.
Yep.
Lisa, San Francisco.
Hey, Lisa. Where's Lisa? I don't see Lisa. Anyway, glad. Oh, there you are. Happy to have you with us.
Katie from San Francisco.
Hey, Katie. Love your background. I know we quickly moved into connecting a little bit with each other, but one of the things that I appreciated tonight, and I was hoping that you would, and maybe you already did, but to recognize the effect of you sitting in the space that you're sitting and how it can be just a kind of a room that we easily take for granted, but becomes with our eyes, our heart open a little bit, becomes more like a temple, and the feeling of it changes when we've washed away some of our preoccupations and entered into real time. Our a little less dust on our eyes is one of the things that motivated the Buddha after his awakening to teach for 45 years. But what initially he just wanted to stay absorbed in the joy of the unconditioned, the unborn, the sense of well-being that was completely unstuck from the conditions that were going on internally or externally. His mind was free, but so he just wanted to enjoy the bliss of nirvana, but he had a vision, and in his mind's eye he saw that there were those, and out of compassion, there were those with just a little dust on their eyes. That's the way it's been translated from the Pali. Those with a little dust on their eyes, if they could just brush the dust of habit and confusion and distractedness, then the clear mirror of their nature would then shine through, and it really doesn't take much time, actually. Just a moment or a few moments of sitting in this space that I'm in feels more like a temple tonight. I don't know about whether that's true for you, but for me, it's quite remarkable how things can transform within moments. Hey, Patty, I see you. Patty's in Tucson as well. Hey, Madison, glad to have you with us. Any questions tonight? Anything you want to share? I'm always curious how you're managing this world right now. And on one hand, in order for you to tell me, you have to almost recall the past. And as I never forget that my teacher would say, you need the past and thoughts to suffer. You don't need anything to be free. But yet it's important that we acknowledge what we may have been dealing with up to this moment, even though there may be a little break in the action when we sit. Sometimes to be able to talk about that is is relieving. But you may not want to talk about what's been going on, but you may have questions about your practice, a topic that may have emerged from your practice tonight or in your daily life, and I'm open to that. And we'll just take a few more minutes and then I'll launch into in whatever space is left. I won't try to fill the space, but I do have a few things that I might want to say. But are there any questions? And know that your topics, questions, descriptions will likely be resonant for someone, useful for someone, and so please feel free. Mary, thanks for breaking the ice.
Hi, Howie.
Reliable Mary.
I bet your mom's glad to see you, huh?
Well, actually, I'm not. I'm at her. This is a second home of hers, and she's not here. But I am 2 weeks from tonight. I will be leading the Sangha from her home in Omaha, Nebraska. But
Oh, okay.
that's
Well,
where she
well,
is.
I'm sure she's happy you're doing well.
She is.
You'll always be her baby. That's
No
how
doubt about it. I am the youngest of three.
yeah.
Her baby is 71 years old. So.
Mazel tov. It was a tough week. It was a hard week, a lot going on in the world, and heartbreaking kind of.
Oh.
But I'm just really grateful to be here tonight. I was thinking earlier, I think in my whole life I have really found, my meditation, or like my Tai Chi meditation, the same kind of thing, to really be the only thing I've really found that is like, that salvation, that freedom, that it reminds me, we kind of forget. It's a very precious thing that we have been fortunate to have on our path, and very lucky. And sometimes maybe take it for granted, but then we have a really, the world is kind of heavy one week, that you really appreciate how important it is and how lucky we are to have that.
Well said.
And great teacher too. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. As you were speaking, Mary, I remembered that I wrote down a line from, who was it from? It was from Mahagosananda, who was a Cambodian monk nominated for a Nobel Prize, beautiful, beautiful being who led processions all over Cambodia after the killing fields in the Khmer Rouge, and started a whole program of reconciliation in just a war-torn country with just millions of people exterminated and just awful, awful, awful. But one of his lines that really was born of his meditation practice, he said, if you can't be happy, and we have to unpack what he means by being happy, but he says, if you can't be happy in spite of your troubles, what's the point of your meditation practice? What's the point of your practice? And so, Mary, to me, you're demonstrating that even though you had a tough week, that you're aware of the salvation, as you use that word salvation, that is that refuge that we can find in our practice, that it can be relied on. And this is actually why we practice, so we can be well, independent of the circumstances. We can find some peace in the middle of it all. So thank you for your practice. Anybody else? And so good to have you with us.
I'm looking for the raise hand function. I can't find it.
No,
So I thought I'll just
fine.
raise
I'm,
my hand.
I'm working with the hands tonight, and that's okay. The real
Okay.
hands.
I think I'd like to kind of second what Mary said. It feels like meditation is the only thing that's real,
Mm.
and everything else is an illusion.
Mm. You want to say more about that?
I don't, it just, that's the only thing that's real, is this moment. And this, I'm a writer, but I have no words. So
Well said.
that's
Well
all I
said.
can say.
That's great. I love it. I'm a writer. I have no words. That's profound.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very deep comment that that's the only thing that's real. That, and you pointed to, as you said it, you pointed to the present moment. That's what I meant by saying that we have within us a reset button, a, a, a button that allows us to return to the real. And we think of the world, whatever we can think about as the real, and what's going on as the real. And that is a real in terms of conventional sense of reality. It's kind of our situation. But it's more historical. But the real, in the deepest sense, is now, is something that's free of past, that's free of future, that's free of any notion of ourselves. It's just nature. And I think I spoke last week about how just being aware is nature. It's not, there's no me there's no I in it. There's no mine in it. It's just real. It's just nature. Just
Feels like
conscious.
there's relief in the salvation of the present moment.
Yeah.
I may have
Yeah.
used those words, but that's what it feels like.
Great. Beautiful.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, and I think everyone in their own way is pointing to, and maybe why we come to Tuesday night. It's maybe a kind of reset, but that reset button, that return to the relief or refuge of the present moment, that is literally a split second, a half breath away, anywhere, anytime. And it really is, in a way, a return to nature. And so, and we, think of nature as that going out to the forest or going to the beach but it's really just feeling our body and being conscious of that, or just being aware, and having our senses open. And if you hang out just a little bit of time in in the real, in that, what in the Tibetan tradition is called vijja, the kind of the ground of being aware. It has a fragrance of peace, and the world's not peaceful. The world is full of what I was talking about during the sitting. We can see in our own mind stream is the seeds of the world that we find, this seeds of greed, wanting to make something happen, wanting something that we don't have, that seed of dependency, that feeds a feeling of lack. We feel it in our practice, and we try to make something happen, and it just creates tension. And we feel the resistance to whatever we're experiencing. And I know people are feeling that lots right now. Huge resistance to what's going on, an aversion that creates tension. And if we kind of live in that, it's just feeds that cycle of stress. But if we simply notice it self-liberates, it releases. And it's just greed, it's just hatred, just delusion. But unrecognized, it makes the world that we live in. I know there was another point there, but I lost it. Been doing that a lot lately. Losing the threads. I'm cutting myself a lot of slack, though. Anybody else before we move on? Don't be bashful. L, is it Ellie or L?
It's Elle.
Hi, L. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much. I just really wanted to share that I'm so grateful for this space. This is the first time that I've been able to join. I first connected with you at the Insight meditation retreat in January on those online.
Oh, with the
And
NLTCP.
yes,
Yes.
and I've been
Great. So
wanting
glad you're
to,
with us.
thank you so much. I've been really wanting to join since then. And I've found that having community and having meditation is what is really grounding me and keeping me sane during this very chaotic time, particularly also in Los Angeles with the fires and lots of heartbreak. So I'm just very grateful and appreciate having this space. So thank you.
Glad to have you with us, and sorry for whatever way you were impacted. I know all of us have been impacted in a way, but those who are close at hand really felt it the most. And I'm sure if you're practicing, your practicing is probably creating a little bit of a refuge for others. That's a lot of the point of our practice, is to be able to be a stable place for people to go through their grief and loss and all of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see.
One more hand. Are we
Oh,
if possible, Rebecca?
thank you, Rebecca. Please feel free. Thank you, Keith, for waking me up here. Go ahead, Rebecca, whenever you're ready. You have to unmute.
I wanted to say that I'm really grateful to sit with any Canadian people here in light of recent events. I grew up just 20 miles south of the Canadian border, and there's always a special place in my heart for our Canadian neighbors, and it's a really scary time, and I just wanted to send a lot of metta north.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. And there are a lot of Canadians in our Sangha tonight. And yeah, I've noted, in leading, I can't speak for you, Canadians. I love you, I can say that, but I can say that what I've experienced in leading so many retreats over more than 30 years in Canada, that often when they experience the crazy of the US, they in some ways they have a harder time than we do here in the States, because they can't do anything about it, really. But now you can do something about the I don't want to get into the whole thing, but you can do something about the tariffs, and I feel for the helplessness that the Canadians feel. So thanks for naming that, Rebecca, and I hope we can all just let our borders melt again into goodwill and friendliness. Among the people, there's no issue. It's just the leaders that have such dualistic thinking and forget that we're so deeply interconnected to one another. It's crazy. absolutely crazy. But we have to find our balance in the middle of it. So we keep practicing. Thank you, Rebecca. So let's see. I had a few stray thoughts, shared a little bit of what I've been appreciating, just being able to hit that reset button anywhere, anytime. And I have, just to give you a little bit of self-disclosure, tomorrow will be 4 weeks since I had my skull opened up and my brain operated on, or at least the place near my brain. And I'm happy to say that unless I touch the little fuzz and the horseshoe-shaped incision that's still a little bit tender, there is absolutely no sign that anything ever happened, and I've resumed all my normal activities and just exercise. I was actually got out in the sun too much and all that, but so that's all good stuff. But I realized, and this little mini Dharmet wrote itself during last night's sleep, that in some way during this now month since this operation, I've been somewhere in my mind has been aiming, which seems like a very natural thing, aiming toward this point where I felt everything was kind of healed, back together, etc. And I'm happy to say that it is. But I noticed when I was reflecting on this that there was a little bit of, in these almost 30 days, 28 days, 27 days, that there was a little bit of postponing, a sense of hitting the reset button. There are lots of moments of mindful attention, the spontaneous reset buttons that happen where I just wake up to where I am, or I'm clearly comprehending that I'm experiencing something. But there was a little bit of a veil of waiting for the healing to happen. And then I realized that in the middle of the night that 27 days were 27 days, 27 days that I will never get back. That, in fact, one of the useful mantras in reflecting on the inevitability of our death, our change, is to, when you wake up in the morning, or at the end of the day, you instead of saying, I lived another day, it's one less day. One less day. You can use that mantra, feel free. One less day. And that one less day is not meant it's not meant to be a cause for feeling badly about life and feeling the sad part of the inevitable passing of our days, but to remind us that to savor, to not postpone experiencing every element of our life. The heartbreak, as Rebecca speaking of the Canadians, Elle speaking of the people in LA, whatever it is, the joy that is available, even now, and the sorrow, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows, to experience them, to seize them, because they're even that preciousness we can't bring back. So even though it's natural to want to reach that point where I'm healed and things are going well, I know that during whatever I'm aiming for, I don't want to miss, I don't want to postpone, I don't want to hold my sense of intimacy and aliveness and happiness. I don't want to hold it hostage to the end of that, the end of the rainbow. I want to actually appreciate that right now. And I'm certainly not going to allow, if I can help it, allow any human being to not going to cede that power of well-being that lives in me as me, and the power that you have within you to hit that reset. I'm not going to cede that to a politician. I'm not going to cede that to anyone or anything. And so all of that in some way reminded me again that the liberation of the Buddha was not to feel good all the time. It wasn't to get everything you want and to find that kind of happiness that comes from satisfying your hunger or getting rid of what you don't want, of reaching healing, reaching good health, all those things that we naturally want to do. We all want that kind of conventional sense of well-being, but that wasn't what the liberation of the Buddha was about. It wasn't about what he called lokiya sukha, worldly happiness, conventional happiness. In fact, he even very strongly described that happiness that depends on getting what we want and wanting what we get and getting rid of what we don't want. He called that the happiness of dukkha, the happiness of stress, the happiness of suffering. Because it's short-lived, and two, we end up postponing the relief that's available now and holding ourselves in a state of suspended relief until conditions conform to our wishes. And that's not really happiness. But that's the way we're wired, or the way we're conditioned. So we're good at that. But instead he pointed to the liberation of the Buddha was to experience for ourselves what he called lokuttara sukha. Lokuttara means unstuck from the world, beyond the power and influence of conditions, just as I was speaking about before. That, to me at least, it's the inspiration that there is within us the capacity to be well, independent of what's happening. And it's not something that we have to postpone or wait for, but it exists in us, as us, in that option of a reset button in any moment, to step out of time, step out of waiting, step out of the past. And whenever I say that, step out of the past, it doesn't mean that that there isn't great pleasure. There's both pleasure and pain in being able to think in the present moment about the past. And there's great pleasure and pain in our capacity to think about the future. But all this happens right here. Past, future, present, it all comes, congeals right here in what we can call real time. And if we don't wait to experience that real time, if we hit that reset button all day, every day, as many times as we really want, just know it's there, to just stop, pay attention. And it's not just the little meditation, the quickies, the mini meditations of finding your body, sensing your mood, sensing whatever you've been noodling about. It's not just those little mini hits. It's when you're walking down the street, when you're at the gas station, when you're at the supermarket, like looking into somebody's eyes. It's just, it's your office, your living room. It's a temple. And that temple is a split second away. You don't have to go to the synagogue, the mosque, the meditation center. You don't have to wait for that. You've got one in you. But this kind of stopping, this kind of reset, it asks us to feel. Asks us to feel really. If we're really present, we will feel, and we will feel the pain that your neighbors, or your own pain, your own emotional pain. At least it'll create the conditions for it to bubble up. That's the beautiful thing about awareness. It doesn't keep anything out. It's not suppressing, because it doesn't have any agenda to get rid of anything or hold anything back or enhance anything. It's just open. It's just free. That's how in the Tibetan, how boundless and free is the sky of awareness. So if we're open that way, we'll feel the pain of our humanity. So that's what makes it possible for us to feel compassion. And then if we step out a lot, we can have a lot of joy too. Have a lot of joy. I actually brought along, just because there's such a tendency to not feel justified, to feel joy. And I know I've read this so many times, but there's just such a tendency to deprive ourselves of joy when things are, when there's so much, there's such a preponderance of suffering in the world. There's a way that we don't feel okay about feeling joy. And I actually think it's our responsibility, especially yogis. You know that joy is possible. You know that reset button is possible. So I will just encourage you with one of my favorite poems from Jack Gilbert, entitled A Brief for the Defense. Sorrow everywhere, slaughter everywhere. If babies are not starving someplace, they're starving somewhere else. With flies in their nostrils, but we enjoy our lives because that's what life wants. Otherwise, the mornings before summer dawn would not be made so fine. The Bengal tiger would not be fashioned so miraculously well. The poor women at the fountain are laughing together between the suffering they have known and the awfulness of their future, smiling and laughing while somebody in the village is very sick. There is laughter every day in the terrible streets of Calcutta, and the women laugh in the cages of Bombay, Mumbai. If we deny our happiness, resist our satisfaction, we lessen the importance of their deprivation. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not delight, not enjoyment. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of the world. To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the demons. If the locomotive of life runs us down, we should give thanks that the end had magnitude. We must admit that there will be music despite everything. We stand at the prow again of a small ship, anchored late at night in the tiny port, looking over to the sleeping island. The waterfront is 3 shuttered cafes, 1 naked light burning. To hear the faint sound of oars in the silence as a rowboat comes slowly out and then goes back is truly worth all the years of sorrow that are to come. We must risk delight. Anyway, a brief for the defense. So this reset button just puts us in touch with a sweet spot. The sweet spot is you. Sweet spot is this moment where we step out of time, where we open our hearts, our heart mind, and connect with life right where it touches us, and feel the joy even in the midst of sorrow. May all beings know this sacred happiness that's without sorrow. May all beings know the place of balance and equanimity. May all beings know happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And may all of our practice create bodhicitta, wish that all beings awaken, especially our leaders, that our practice penetrates their hearts and releases their bodhicitta, their wish to be of benefit and awaken for the benefit of all, not just for themselves. May all beings be liberated. May all beings find the reset button. Anyway, it's that time. Keith, if you have anything that you want to say, and if everybody can hang out for a few minutes, Keith will say a few things. Then I have a comment about upcoming retreats.
Great. So just a reminder to all of us that the teachings are a priceless gift, which are offered freely. And so there's an invitation to consider dana, generosity, as part of our practice together, and to give what you can to support these teachings. Howie offers these teachings freely. We can help him, we can help the Sangha to continue to exist, and on to those in the future. So put in the chat the details how you can do that, multiple different ways, but just really encourage you to touch your heart and say, hey, this really matters, and share that in a way that can help it keep going. So thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you, Keith, and thanks for co-hosting. Just a reminder that I'm thinking that the second weekend of May there will be some retreat, either online or hybrid, in person and online. But that will likely be the next possibility, is May 7th. So put that on your calendar. Or isn't May 7th? Let's see what that.
17.
No, it would be May. It would be May the 10th or 11th. May the 10th or 11th. Maybe the 10th because probably won't do it on Mother's Day. So look for May 10th in the newsletter with the information about whether it's in person or online or both. Okay?